In the grand hall of the Lurian palace, silence reigned. Marble pillars glimmered like liquid silver, and beams of faint blue light poured down from the crystalline ceiling, painting soft patterns across the floor. At the center stood Princess Elira, her posture graceful, her long ivory robe catching every ripple of light. Despite her serene appearance, her heart raced beneath the layers of silk. The Council of Elders had announced the arrival of the Terran representative, a human soldier who had fought on the front lines of the Vorn conflict. Elira had read the reports about humans, bold, reckless, emotional creatures driven by a strange blend of compassion and ferocity. To her people, they were both admired and feared. And now she was to meet one face to face. When the great doors opened, the air shifted. The guards bowed low as a tall figure entered the hall. The human's boots echoed against the polished floor, steady and measured. His name was Captain Daniel Ward. His armor, though simple compared to Lurian finery, carried scars of battle, a testament to experience rather than vanity. Elira fought to maintain her composure. Her training as royal heir demanded control over every gesture, every flicker of emotion. Yet as Daniel approached, she sensed something unlike any presence she had encountered. His gaze was clear, unwavering, and utterly human. "Princess Elira," he said, his voice deep but tempered with respect. "It's an honor to meet you." "The honor is shared, Captain Ward," she replied, her tone measured. "Your reputation precedes you. Few beings could have survived the siege of Raiden." Daniel inclined his head modestly. "Survival wasn't the goal, Princess. Protecting others was." Those words lingered in her mind longer than she expected. In Lurian culture, sacrifice was a royal duty, not a soldier's choice. Yet here stood a man from a distant world, speaking as if valor were not obligation but instinct. The Council had assigned her to negotiate an alliance with Earth, a pact to strengthen defenses after the collapse of the outer colonies. It was supposed to be a simple diplomatic meeting, but simplicity vanished the moment she looked into his eyes. They held a strange fire, not pride or aggression, but conviction. It disarmed her more than any weapon could. Daniel noticed her momentary hesitation. He had been warned that Lurian royalty valued composure above all. Yet even in her calm exterior, he sensed turbulence, a storm held back by sheer will. He had seen many species in his time, but none carried that combination of fragility and power. "Your world suffered greatly," he said. "I saw the ruins of the Vorn strongholds during my approach. No one deserves what they did." Her hands tightened slightly at her sides. "We endured," she said quietly. "As we always do." He nodded, his expression softening. "And now you're rebuilding. That's the hardest part." For a brief second, her facade nearly cracked. No alien emissary had ever spoken to her with such simplicity, such honesty. Most flattered or feared her. Daniel did neither. He spoke as though she were simply another person trying to hold her world together. Later that day, Elira led him through the palace gardens. Towers of bioluminescent vines reached toward the soft lavender sky. The air smelled faintly of rain and crystalline dust. "This is the heart garden," she explained. "It grows only where the soil remembers peace." Daniel paused beside a glowing blue flower. "Your people have a poetic way of seeing the world." "We had to," she said, turning to him. "It's the only way to keep from falling apart." The wind brushed her hair across her face, and she quickly tucked it behind her ear. Every movement was deliberate, yet her mind was anything but calm. This human was not like the others described in the reports. He carried himself with quiet strength, not dominance. His silence spoke louder than words, and it unsettled her. When they reached the reflecting pool, the water shimmered with shifting hues of light. Daniel knelt beside it, examining his reflection. The alien colors painted across his armor like living art. "Back home," he said, "we have nothing like this. Everything's gray or metal. Seeing this makes me think we lost something along the way." Elira tilted her head. "And yet you built ships that cross the stars." He smiled faintly. "Maybe we built them because we were chasing what we'd lost." She felt her chest tighten again. There it was, that human paradox she had read about. Strength rooted in longing, power born from imperfection. That evening, the formal dinner began. The hall filled with dignitaries from across the Allied systems. Crystal plates shimmered under soft starlight, and melodic tones drifted through the air. Yet Elira's attention rarely strayed from Daniel. He seemed out of place among the glittering nobles, yet completely unshaken. When a Lurian noble made a condescending remark about primitive Terran customs, Elira watched carefully. Daniel didn't respond with anger. He simply smiled as if such insults could never reach him. Later, as the music faded and the guests dispersed, Elira found him standing by the balcony overlooking the twin moons. "You handled that well," she said. He turned slightly. "Words can't hurt unless we let them." She gave a small smile. "A soldier and a philosopher? An unexpected combination." Daniel shrugged. "In war you learn both or you don't come back." They stood in silence for a while. The moons bathed them in pale light, and the distant hum of the city filled the background. "Why did you really come, Captain?" she asked softly. He met her gaze without hesitation. "Because peace doesn't last unless people like us make sure it does." Her breath caught for a moment. She realized he wasn't referring only to politics or strategy. He meant it personally, shared responsibility, shared burden. In the following days, Daniel assisted her with security inspections around the outer cities. They traveled together in a skyship that glided above emerald forests and rivers of glass. The Lurian guards watched him cautiously at first, but soon their suspicion waned. He earned their respect not through words, but through action, helping to stabilize a damaged hovercraft, protecting a child during a stray energy flare, standing watch through long, sleepless nights. Elira observed him quietly. Each small act revealed something profound about humanity. Humans did not need to be born into nobility to understand duty. They carried it in their hearts, often heavier than any crown. One night, a storm struck unexpectedly. The ship's systems flickered, and for a moment, they were suspended between lightning and silence. Elira felt the tremor of fear ripple through her crew. Then Daniel's voice broke through, steady and commanding. "Stay calm. Focus on the stabilizers. We'll ride it out." The crew obeyed, drawn by the certainty in his tone. When the storm finally passed, the ship floated beneath a sea of stars. As calm returned, Elira turned to him. "You gave them courage." He shook his head. "They already had it. They just needed to see it." Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. She understood then what made humans extraordinary. They didn't conquer through power. They inspired through presence. By the time they returned to the capital, the alliance papers were ready to be signed. The hall was filled again, this time not with tension but anticipation. As Elira placed her signature beside his, she realized something had changed. The treaty was more than a political act. It was a bridge between two hearts that had learned to see beyond form, beyond origin. After the ceremony, Daniel prepared to depart. The human fleet awaited him beyond the moon's horizon. Elira walked with him to the launch platform, her movements controlled, her face serene. Yet inside, a quiet storm brewed. "You've done more for my people than you realize," she said. "And you've done more for mine," he replied. "You've shown us that peace is worth fighting for." For a long moment they stood there, neither speaking. The wind whispered through the crystalline spires, carrying the scent of rain and memory. When the ship's engines began to hum, she finally spoke, her voice calm but trembling slightly beneath the surface. "Captain Ward," she said, "if fate ever brings you back to Luria, you will always have a place here." He smiled faintly. "I'll hold you to that, Princess." As his ship ascended into the sky, she watched until it became a mere glimmer among the stars. Only then did she allow herself a deep breath. She had remained composed as expected of a royal. Yet beneath that composure something new had taken root, a fragile human spark she could no longer ignore. And in that spark, she understood the truth that her people had missed for centuries. Strength was not in control, but in the courage to feel. Across the void between worlds, two hearts, one human, one alien, had reshaped the destiny of galaxies without a single weapon drawn. And somewhere in the vast silence of space, a princess whispered to herself, steady but soft, "Stay composed.